Hi, in this video I'm going to demonstrate how I shot a time-lapse video over a period of 2 years. This is West Quay South. It's a leisure centre in the middle of Southampton, built quite near my house. When it was first being built I thought, wouldn't it be great to shoot a time-lapse video of that? So I did. This video tells you how I did it. Okay, so time-lapse isn't actually that hard to do. Most of your Wow, hang on. That's better. So, yeah, as I was saying, time-lapse isn't that hard to do. Most smartphones these days have a time-lapse mode on, DSLRs do, although this is a DSLR I used and I didn't have a time-lapse function on at the time. And there are also other options. There are action cameras such as GoPros and DJI Osmo Pocket, all got time-lapse modes, but what they don't do is time-lapse over a long period of time. And that's the problem I had. I wanted to film this over about 2 years. And so what did I use for that? Well, not a lot, to be honest. The guts of the rig was a DSLR and a Raspberry Pi. There were a few other bits like a NAS for storage and some power supplies, etc. We'll get to that. But I really didn't use anything particularly fancy. This is a Canon EOS 600D, which is quite an old camera now. It was the newest one at the time, they're entry level, but now it's a bit old. Perfectly serviceable. The only thing it has to be able to do is be tethered by USB. So you can plug this into this, and magic happens. So the first thing you need to think about when you're doing a project like this is a location. I didn't even think about location because this was the location came first, and I thought, wouldn't it be great if the project came out of the location? But don't even think about doing this unless you've got somewhere to stick the camera where it won't be disturbed for the entire duration of the project. So every day standing in front of the thing and taking photos is not going to cut it. You need to have a place where you can leave the camera undisturbed for 2 years or however long the project's going to last, with power and a way to get the images off, because what you don't want is to rely on an SD card inside the camera. So the other thing is, this is probably going to happen inside behind a window. What I learned very quickly on a test run, thankfully, is that reflections get through and bounce off the window. So I got one of these lens hoods. Basically these suckers stick to your window. You stick the lens of your camera through that, all mounted on a tripod obviously, bang bang bang. You can snap away to your heart's content, you never see any reflection. Power obviously is another concern. I don't want to be changing batteries every couple of days or however long the battery lasts, so a dummy battery and an AC supply so you can leave the thing plugged in. Now you might think, oh, that's going to cost a lot, but most cameras, my camera certainly, once it powers off after a minute or so, so it's only active and drawing power for that time. The thing that draws power, and it's not much, is the Raspberry Pi. Another concern was where to put the images. I mean, you can fit it all on an SD card, but my camera took a 32GB SD card, or maybe 64 at most. And anyway, I don't want to trust it to an SD card because they fail, and would ever want to have a look in the meantime. So I got a NAS. Well, I had a NAS. I had a couple of NASs. I actually put one aside specifically for this project. You can use any old NAS really, it doesn't have to be anything great. Do recommend using some sort of RAID though, just in case. Of course, a tripod is a must. This isn't the one I use, but it would certainly do it. Just something to keep the camera stable for the entire duration of the shoot. So how did all this fit together? Well, we had this camera on a tripod with the lens hood connected by USB to a Raspberry Pi, which was in turn connected to the NAS. And every hour between the time of 5 AM I think and 7 or 8 PM, this would tell this, oh, take a photo. It would take the photo, the Raspberry Pi would grab the photo and stick it on the NAS for me, safe and sound, and the camera would then time out and turn off again after a couple of minutes. Okay, so how exactly did a Raspberry Pi control a camera? Well, we'll talk about software in a different video, but basically there was a small shell script and some cron magic. If these terms don't mean anything to you, don't worry about it, they're not that complicated. I will guide you through it. The software I used is available online, I've stuck it on GitHub. But it was very simple, it was just a couple of little scripts and some electric string. Oh yeah, one more thing. If you're showing people around your house and they're having a look at what you're doing, make sure they don't disturb the camera. That did actually happen to me. A good friend of mine was looking around the house and he nudged the camera a bit. Oh, what's this? And you can actually see it at the very beginning of my video, the angle of the whole shot moves ever so slightly. Try and avoid that. Okay, so that's sort of an intro to how I shot the video. There are details to be going over, and we'll do an actual video where I set up the camera and actually do another time lapse. It won't be a 2-year long project, it'll be very short, but you'll get the picture. You'll see day turn to night and back again. Yeah, catch up in the next video.